Hello everyone, welcome back to my How to Make a Browser Game for Dummies series. It's been a while, but I would like to continue my series where we left off. I actually lost all my source code the last year, so I had to type over all the instructions that I gave last time. But that worked out fine, I got all the code here. So a lot of you guys said that the text was very hard to read, so I've changed the theme of Aptana to a lighter theme that you can all see a lot better. The HTML is reddish and the PHP is very distinct as well. I've also removed the annoying clock in the background. There's no more ticking, as some of you noticed. And I've gotten myself a better microphone. So anyways, yeah, I would like to continue with this series, and I'm thinking about a weekly upload, or maybe twice or 3 times a week. It's possible. So you guys will see new episodes coming along on this new channel. I've decided to put all the coding stuff, all the coding videos on this channel because my other channel was getting very messy. There was a lot of stuff, that didn't have to do anything with each other. So yeah, so let's get going. First of all, I would like to change the way we've placed the brackets last time. For example, this if statement right here, I've placed the brackets like after the where I check whether maintenance is true or not. So put your mouse cursor in front of the bracket and press on enter, and it will move the bracket like on the same level, on the same tabbed level as the if statement. The echo line is okay, but then put your mouse pointer behind the bracket before the next else if statement and press enter again. As you can see, this is way more readable. First of all, you see what is being checked. Then between the 2 brackets is what you want to get executed if maintenance is true. So this is way more readable, and I want to change this everywhere in the code. So else if maintenance is false, show the content, move the bracket, and same goes. Oh, that's actually on the same level, so that's fine. Second, I also want to, that's all fine in here. So that's all fine. Secondly, I've used an include right here, which is not very efficient or good. If this include fails, the web page will still be displayed, which is bad, considering the fact that if this file is missing, the website should be broken. The game should be broken. This config file is very important. So instead, use require_once. Use these two and put it around like this. Wait, I will look up what they are called. So if I figured out what these guys are called, they are parentheses. So require_once parentheses, quotation mark, the system folder that we've got on the left right here, and then /config.php, the file extension name, quotation mark, parentheses, close, and semicolon. If this file is missing and it gives a failure, then the below code won't be executed. It just simply fails. So this is more foolproof, I suppose, and the way you should go. So also tie variable echoes into one echo. I've used 3 echoes right here, but that's not the most efficient or the way to do it. Instead, remove the bit between the variable and the next variable, so semicolon echo, just to remove it, and replace it with a dot, with a point. What this does is connect the variables together, and it will work fine. So if you go like this, it will work. Also, some of you guys commented that why don't I just use a framework to build on, and why I don't use a framework but instead use my own code is because I think that if you use a framework, there's a lot of code that you do not require that's included in it, but doesn't apply to what you want to do. So, and also you don't really learn programming from that. Instead, if you make your own framework or do your own code, then you really learn how stuff works, or what it really means to make something. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to change for now. So let's see what that looks like. Right now it still works, so that's fine. Let's go ahead and... Oh, I also wanted to say that what I didn't say last time is I have no clear idea what I want to do with the game. I don't know what I want to make exactly, so I'm just winging it most of the times. I'm just... I want to make a game like Tribal Wars and Travian, one of the most simple browser games that you can make, without fancy real-time values and JavaScript, all that stuff. I just want to make a HTML, CSS, PHP game that works great, plays like Travian, Tribal Wars, but I don't have a book written out or like a script of how I want to do it. I'm just winging it. I'm thinking about what do we need and I make it. So let's just continue, I suppose, and see where we will go with it. So last time we made these variables, added a little bit of styling. Also, I want to show you guys one thing that might be very useful. If you go to the website and you are in Chrome, you have an inspector mode. So if you right click on the code, inspect element, it opens up a new tab that's amazingly useful for developers. I believe that Firefox has a similar thing. I think most browsers have a very similar thing. So look for an inspector tool. Anyways, if we inspect the header element, we see that there's no font attached to it. There's no font loading, except for the Bootstrap font, which isn't working. But aside from that, there's no font. So the font that we declared right here is not working. So instead I would remove this, and we will find out how to do that later on. It probably has a specific name. So, okay, so let's open up MySQL, create a new connection, in this case localhost, because it is on our localhost. Localhost user is root, password is blank by default. Save it, and then we will have the database opened or connected with our WAMP server, where our game is also running on. So create a new database, MMORTS, open it up. Let me make the screen a little bit bigger, like this. Okay, so MMORTS, open it up, or right click on the database, create a new table and call it configuration, and add a new row called ID, and another row called, or column, sorry, these are columns. So this is a database. If you open it, under here are the tables. So we are creating a table now with the name configuration, which has the following columns: ID, name, separator, description, maintenance. So the ID is always an integer, or yeah, let's just call it a number, an int. And it should auto increment, which you can change here in the default. Change default value to auto increment, and right click on the row or the column, make new index key, make new index primary, which means that using this key or using this column you can identify a row of data. So name, change data type to varchar, which means numbers, special characters, etc. And change length to 255, which is very big, but for now it's fine. We will change that or optimize that later. Also, let me type down a little reminder that I should change the software languages to English. That's a little bit easier for you guys. So separator varchar 200. No, that's actually not needed. Just put 3 here. Description varchar 255. Maintenance is a boolean. Let's see where I can find it. Is a bool. Where are you? Not time, not text. Decimal, big int. Float, double. I believe there's a special data type for it, but for now let's just use an int and put it, make it length 1 and save it. And this is basically a very simple table. So it's saved right now. If you open MMORTS, this is the database, this is a table, and it contains the following columns. So if you look at data, it's empty, but we can add a new row. Right click, add a new row, and ideally you could leave it empty. You will see why in a second. Name MMORTS. Let me open up this a little bit. Oh, damn it. New row, MMORTS, separator, space, dash, space. Description is my awesome browser game. And maintenance is 0. And if you save this, you will see that the ID is automatically filled in, which is because of the auto increment, which that does is look what the last entry was and then use that number. For example, we didn't have any rows yet, so auto increment is 1. But if you add another row right now, auto increment would be 2. So this is a way to store our configuration in a database, which could be useful for ease. Like imagine if you have a back-end administration panel for your moderators or community managers of your game. You want them to be able to change values like these in their panel without going into the database, without going into Aptana or writing code, because maybe they can't even code. So later on you can put these columns back into an administration panel that they can edit. So right now we have this data in the database and also the configuration file on the server, but it's not connected together. So how do we do that? That's very simple. We connect our PHP to the database. We can do that by moving this bit up here. That's important because we need to get the title, the separator, the description, and the maintenance values from the database. So this needs to happen first, a database connection. So let's just make a comment here for clarity. You do that by putting 2 slashes next to each other and then typing text, for example, database connection. That's a comment. It's not executed by the server, and it's not showing to the user. Here you put down general variables, because that's what I would call it. The title, the separator, and the description are very general variables. The maintenance variable is, let's call it technical settings for now. I call this general settings for now. Database server is localhost. We are connecting to the localhost server running by WAMP, the localhost database, sorry. And the user is root. These are default values. The password is empty like before, and the database is MMORTS, I think. MMORTS, depending on what you called it. I called it MMORTS. So next, press space, enter, sorry. And below here, make a comment, create connection, or establish connection, create connection, and start writing the connection code. $con connection is new MySQLi parentheses open and close, semicolon, press insert, semicolon, and then in here put the values database server, database username, database password. There you go. So right now what you say is in variable connection, a MySQLi SQLi data is stored. Next, you want to check if the connection works. Check connection. If parentheses open and close, $con, the variable above, is, or connect error. If it gives an error, bracket open, bracket close. If it gives an error, die, just stop executing the code. And give the following message: connection failed. And I will explain everything shortly. Throw the error, which is generated by the server this way. Connect error. Else, if the code is executed, connected successfully. So let me explain a few things right here. The connection is being checked by running con through connect error. If there is an error, if the server generates an error, connection failed, why? Throw the error. If the connection is made and successful, the code will continue executing and echo connected successfully. What I did here is basically die in this case is like an echo. You could see it like that, except that it echoes what is between the parentheses, but also make sure that the script stops executing after that. So there's a quotation mark and a quotation mark. This is a normal string with text, but the dot ties the connection error to the string. So an error could be could possibly display as connection failed. The reason why. That's how it could display on the front end. Anyway, so if we go back to our game and refresh, it will say connected successfully on the top left. So that's how you make a connection to the database. It's now connected to this. So next episode I want to show you guys how to get the values from the database and display it on the website, or in this case get the values from the database and put them in here, so that it's just easier to edit and access. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.